This video focuses on harvesting pumpkins. Okay, Josh and Sheila, the pumpkin on the right is the one that I sent a picture a little while ago, today, Saturday. But what I wanted to show you, that was the first one I picked that didn't grow fully. Well, here is I picked this one today, though I didn't really want to, but I was forced to. I also picked that zucchini. This one, I don't know, Josh, if you ever saw it. It was, well, yes, the other video. It's up against the fence in the corn row, but the fence at the front of the garden. That's a vine that went up and over the deer fence. Anyway, here's the reason I wanted to pick it. First of all, you notice that the stem still got some green into it. You really should wait until it's all brown out. See how this one is? That was ready. You can still see some green in here, but so I would have left it there. However, here is the big thing, what I noticed. Look at that. I hadn't noticed that before. Just that a chipmunk made a hole next to a corn root right there. So I crawled my hands and knees in there. Look at that. So something got in there, some kind of a, I don't know. Anyway, just trying to show you that's why I've got it. Hopefully, this will probably be the first one that I end up cutting up for pumpkin pie. Okay, so I'm standing in the garden right next to where you put a plank up, Josh, and was tying the things down. But I'm inside the garden. I might as well show you and Sheila how you can tell if a pumpkin is ready for picking. Notice the stem is brown. There's no green in it. So that's number one. The other thing is, you see where the stem meets the vine right here? Notice this thing that's growing out from it. What the heck is it? Can you see that right there? It's called a curlicue. It's hard to see because I'm in the shade right now. And it's bending off real easy. If that's completely dried up, that's also a sign that it's ready. Both the stem and that little curlicue had to be brown, because that shows it's not showing you nutrition. Maybe I can do a better job. Here's another one that's hanging. Where's the curlicue on this thing? So first I look for, there's the stem. The stem is brown. And then here's the curlicue. See how it comes, oh jeez. See how the curlicue is, where the heck is my hand here? It doesn't seem straight. Yeah, right there. See this thing is the curlicue. This isn't happening too good here. You can see it right there, that's brown. And then the last one, this one's on your, you can tell from here, that's on the plank. You saw this before. Well, you'll never be able to tell, but that stem is still got some, hang on, where the heck is it? I just lost it. Where the heck is it? Right there. That stem still has a little bit of green to it, so I wouldn't pick that. By the way, I keep calling this thing right here the curlicues. I don't know if you can get the quality in here. Actually, this one, see, it's just loose. Looks like, you can see that it looks like this. It's really not called a curlicue. It's called a tendril. People refer to it as curlicue because it's easy to remember. It's really a tendril, Tendril. And I'm going to cut this pumpkin today off the vine. This is what I'm going to use. Okay, you can see the saw. You should always try to leave maybe 4 inches, at least 3 minimum, 4 inches. I always cut it as close to the vine itself. That makes it a little healthier for storing. And I'm going to cut this. You normally leave them out as long as you can in the garden, but we've just had a couple light frosts, and this vine is completely dead anyway. This particular one, I could trace it actually to the root itself. And I looked all through this and I followed the vine up. We've had every single leaf is dead on this particular vine, so you should not leave your pumpkin out like this once the whole vine is dead, because it won't mature or do anything. Well, it could mature more. I'm going to put it up if it's a little green. But now you're leaving it susceptible to maybe bugs could come in. I won't have any animal damage though, because I got the fence. And if you have, any frost would start to ruin it. So when it's completely mature like this, stem brown, tendril brown. You should cut it and you know, get it safe. I'm going to put it up on the deck. While I'm here though, I'm really worried now about that one right there. This is your plank is right there that you put up, Josh. The pumpkin that you knew about is on the opposite side of that plank. This one that grew down here, I think I've taken a picture of this before and shown you. You're unaware of that. It's just starting to turn green. But the key to, you know, we're going to be getting heavier frost. Probably a week, who knows. But, you know, this is now 4 days after I did the other one. So the key is getting sunlight. This is getting sunlight now. It's right now about almost noon. But after that, it doesn't get any sunlight because the road goes to shadow. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that one. But I'm going to, the vine is still green. You know, the leaves, not all are dead. So I'm going to leave that there. There is, though, another vine. I'm shutting this off and I'll try to get a better view of another one that you don't know about. Okay, so I just cut the stem of it. You can see how long that's that pumpkin. So now I turned it to the other side. Look at that bruise. Oh, it's hard to see because of the sun glare, isn't it? Look at that. It doesn't go through though, it's kind of a surface, but I'm glad I'm picking it. The reason is because we couldn't see it, because it was sitting on this piece of firewood I put there to support the bottoms because it was hanging down off that big fence. But I think because it was up against, see this fence right here? It goes down all the way here. And I think it was up against it. As it grew, it was pushing into that. That lesson for the future to, if you have something up against a fence, pull it. But however, look at this one. This was the very first pumpkin. This is huge. And that is also up against, but this fence though has been pushed back. I also have the piece of wood that's supporting it more in the center. So I think it's because it was more leaning against it. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. While I'm over here, I might as well show you we still got, you see that nice squash right there, zucchini squash, standing right where I cut the pumpkin. There's one plant. And you can see, you know, some of the leaves, even though we had these 2 light scattered frosts, they're still going pretty good. I've never had zucchini squash this late in the season. There's even some, you see those baby ones in there? You see that? Hopefully you can see that. I'm pointing to it right there. Okay. Now, some leaves got hurt by that light frost. If you want to know what that looks like, it's, see that right there? It looks like this is the frost. Yeah. Whereas this is that powdery mildew. That's the difference. You can see what that is. That's all come. But this here, this is also from the frost. So some of the leaves came out pretty good. And some, I don't know, you can see over there, you can see some that are hurt by the frost. I'm over here. I might as well show you. See that that vine growing up there? You really couldn't see before the peach had all those peaches on it and it was coming down. That is the lima bean. That's the only one. It's got, the vine even goes up that fence and then it went through it about 5 feet up, and I don't know if you can tell how it's going down the other side. And the other thing here I was going to show you on these lima beans, they're getting their first flowers right here. They're about to open. There's no way that we're going to get any lima beans out of this. I never should have planted. When you were here, remember I wanted green beans? We went to buy those mole bombs, those smoke bombs, but they didn't have any green beans, so I said, I've never done lima beans, so I'm growing them. You know, I looked to see, and I think it takes 75 days after germination, which means it's not going to be ready until the first beans probably wouldn't even produce until October 15th at the earliest, and then they keep producing for maybe 2 or 3 weeks after. We're definitely going to have a hard frost before that, since we've already, you know, there's another flower. Way too late though. I'll never probably grow these again because you can't even eat them like green beans. You have to shell them. By the way, while I'm here, I might as well give you a quick status. There is that lettuce that I don't know how long ago I planted. That's not ready to pick yet, but you know, I will cover this if we get a hard frost. This I'm very down on. The radishes will you know, they're frost tolerant, but I took a real gamble on this leaf lettuce. I should have known it. And this isn't going to be ready until the end of July. I don't think I'll be able to keep covering them. Anyway, maybe. Everything else, though, is looking pretty good. You know, lots of chard. That'll take us for a long time yet. We're eating that. You know, these are the new beets, succession planting. You know, they're cold frost tolerant, so I'll be having those starting mid-August. So that's in 2 weeks, and today's date is September 22nd. You know, we still got plenty of arugula, which can go forever. You know, we've got our carrots that we'll be picking. We could start now. They're ready. Tomatoes, the big tomatoes are not really. I've pinched off all the little tomatoes. You know, if they're the size of a golf ball or smaller. Cherry tomatoes are still going. Peppers are still going, but again, the first frost is going to kill that. I'm not going to walk you around the garden for that. And we're picking corn like crazy. You know, we have it every night. We love it. And I don't think that my cabbage, well, this is the smallest. Small cabbage probably isn't going to work. I don't know if that's slow growing. I'll probably get some heads out of that. You can see that. And I've got like 3 or 4 that size up next to the corn. Okay, you know, I started this video on September 19th, and today it's September 23rd. It's it's Wednesday. You know, and over the past 3 nights prior to that, we had those scattered frosts in places, and these things lasted the first 2, but now you can see it's all frost damage, these leaves. So that's done. I'd already cut off the end. I can't remember if I showed that to you already, how that's one thing you do. You prevent it from growing. That was the growing tip where the new stuff would come out. So I cut that off. That's to let the energy now stop going to growing more vine and to start maturing the fruits. But you see this, I'm really skeptical. Can you see that? God, I'm in the sun here reflecting. Can you see that? Oh, it's a pretty big one. There's a big green pumpkin in there. It's the size of a beach ball probably. I've got to, it needs sun. That's the only way it's going to mature. You know, the vine is still green, so I don't want to pick it. It's a lot harder to get it like that. So to make it mature, turn orange. So I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to cut away all these leaves with my pruners so that sun will go on this. You can actually see it now. I've cut away some. So this is all you do. You know, I'm taking, you know, this leaf is diseased. So actually, this one was frost. It's hard to show you. So I'm just cutting it right next to the leaf. Let's go. And then I've cut some of Sheila's flowers. These yellow flowers. Hopefully she doesn't watch this, although she might yell at me. But this is here for this pumpkin. Okay, as you can see, you can already see what happened to a lot more of it than just before, and I've just cut away a few. So I'm going to cut the rest of these. Need sun. Okay, so I've cut away the rugosa roses. You could compare this to just a few seconds. So I've cut away the rugosa roses that were covering it, all the dead leaves. It's fully exposed now to the sun. Imagine, we couldn't even see it was so covered before. Then I accidentally discovered it a couple weeks ago. You know, the vine is green, so I think this will mature because should be getting, I don't see anything in the forecast for a while. But it may not turn completely orange by the time we get a hard frost, because that's when I'll have to cover it and then bring it up onto the deck and let it mature up there. You see, the leaves themselves, there's a lot of damage from powdery mildew and the frost damage. You can see, but there's still some green there. So there's still juices flowing through the stem, feeding that pumpkin, and that's why the stem is green. As a matter of fact, let's look at this. Oh, that's interesting. Look at the tendril. Where is it? See this tendril right here? And it comes right back here. See how that's green? I was telling you. So there's a sign that this thing is not ready. The very end of the tendril's all brown, but this is still green. Plus the stalk is green. Not ready to pick. But you knew that already because you can see this. The pumpkin is green, but I was trying to show you. Warning, warning, emergency repair will be required. Outside the garden, because I just cut those leaves. I came over here to see this one's starting to turn orange. I don't know if you can tell through here because of that shade that's on there as I'm looking through the screen. There's nothing I can, oh wow. Look, I was going to leave this alone because the, I mean, I can't get this above all these rugosa roses. I can't clip all of this. But look at that. Look at the stem. I just discovered, can you, wow. The stem has broken off. Okay, I've got to investigate this. Either some bug, something ate through. I've never seen that happen before. Okay, I've got to investigate. Anyway, so I'm going to stop this right now. But actually, while I'm here, though, this is, you know, that was on right below your plank. I think I showed you that before. And this is the one that you knew about. That's, I've got this zoomed in too much. This is on your plank. And that's getting sun. You know, it's getting shade, but it's turning orange. I don't want to pick this because I mean, it is almost all orange and the stem is still green. So I think this is in a good shape, right where it is. Warning, warning, emergency repair will be required. So I'm standing right outside the garden. I mean, yeah, right where I was before, except now I'm right here, you know, at the corner post right here. My back is to this pumpkin, which from where it was on the plank. And the first thing I'm looking for is, because this pumpkin could have been bad if the bug, a boar or something had gone through there. I don't understand what cut it off, because that looks healthy to me. There's no holes in there whatsoever. Yeah, so that's fine. I don't know why. Maybe because it was hanging, and as it started to mature, because you can see it's starting to turn brown, and the inside is brown. So this has been cut for a while. Maybe it was just too much weight on that plank. I also then said, okay, well, maybe there's something. So you always turn it around, because this is where a lot of damage, many times it's called the blossom end. You know, this is where the flower was originally. But no, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I think I can get this be completely orange. What you do, by the way, with all pumpkins, well, I'll take a picture later on the deck, especially ones that aren't orange. But even the one you leave it in the sun, you know, you try to keep them in the vine for as long as you can. But then, if something like this, you put it in the sun, where warm. You don't let anything get cold, and you let it what's called curing. You should do, you know, 7 to 10 days, up to 10 days is good. Okay, then it gets even harder. By the way, another way to tell if it's right. Oh yeah, can you hear that? This sounds hollow. So this is in good shape. I'm not worried about this now, the way I thought emergency repair. As you know, things change in the garden all the time for emergency repairs. That's why I have to check. Look what I found while I was here. Look at that sucker right there. Look at this hole. You see this hole going down? That's a pretty big hole. Okay, so I'll be out here. I'm going to bury this, and if it's dug up in the next 24, well, tonight, within the next 24 hours, I'll come out. Actually, today, so, because it's afternoon time now, I will come out at night and put a smoke bomb down here. Finishing off the pumpkins, I'm still outside the garden. I'm relatively close to the peach tree. I've shown you this in a different video. This vine came all the way across the rows. And you saw it hanging, it was probably 3 or 4 feet up in here. But the vine did come crashing through. I kept moving them over, but the pumpkins got too heavy. But that's fine. You try not to let the bottom of the pumpkin land on the ground, but it's barely touching it, actually. I could put my hand. That's not even close to picking, though. I mean, even to try to put it on the deck in the heat for 10, that's not going to work, really. Be really tough. Again, since we haven't had a hard frost yet, I still see a green stem. You know, these leaves, they're powdery mildews, but they're not dead. So there's still, it's not really sap, whatever it's called, that's going through the vine. So that's going to help that mature. Okay, you can see the leaves up here, which is part of that vine. They're still doing photosynthesis. So, I mean, there's a sign right there that a flower. So that means it's still healthy enough. By the way, you always pick off the flowers. Well, that's a male flower. I don't have to, but you don't want any little pumpkins now. If it's smaller than a tennis ball, well, like this, I got to pick this one off because there's just not enough time. You hate to do that, but you don't have enough time. You don't want energy developing, you know, on these female plants to do that. Also, by the way, you saw me cut those powdery mildew leaves. You always take vines, any powdery mildew at all. You never, you know, when you squash your pumpkins, you don't want to put that back in the garden, because normally you would see me composting everything, burying the stuff that you know I pick, like corn stalks, stuff like this. But you don't want this disease in your garden, so you always get far away from your garden and get rid of it. Here's the very last thing. Again, I got my back to the peach tree. This is the only one that I'm not going to be able to do very much. Can you see that pumpkin in there? It's got an orange tinge to it. It's completely shade in this rugosa rose. I've tried lifting it up, but I can't really move it over. It just goes right back down because, you know, I'm constrained by the length of the vine that goes over the fence, the deer fence. So, and I've tried moving it, got my arms all scratched up. So what I'm going to, and I don't want to cut those, I'm going to cut some of the leaves from the vine, but only the ones that are really damaged to let some sun in there. But I'm going to leave this stay there. You know, everything's green right there for a week. It's not ideal. And if I could get in there to cut away stuff and make more sun on it, but I'm going to wait, you know, maybe we'll get 2 more weeks like that before I have to actually cut it. Okay, I think that's it for the pumpkin update. I mean, I will do something later on, but not in this video. I'll show them all on the deck. One last piece of advice when you cut leaves and so on, you shouldn't just do this during the summer, because do you see when you cut what happens? These the stems of squash, pumpkins, and so on, they're hollow, and bugs will go down in there and they would ruin this. So if you do this during the summer, you could be in trouble. Actually, what you're supposed to do is, well, you couldn't do it with this one, it's up too high, but you would take it and you put it into the ground and bury it. It might even start to do a root. But you really don't want to do that unless the leaf is very diseased. Or now for me, it's the end of the year, so, you know, it overrides. There's not that many bugs around. There's still bugs, but I need to get this pumpkin ripe. We've already had a slight frost, so a lot of bugs have died. I'm out here with my phone so I can record. I might as well show you all the sunflowers. Isn't that a nice sight? You see 7 there. So just on the right hand side, this is the runt of the. It's so strange to me also how the center of every one is different. Like look at this one, how, well, I don't know if you can tell how bright that is in there. You know, some are darker inside. So if this is the biggest one, that's 7. Probably 9 or 10 feet tall, but it was straightened out. Isn't that cool the way the center is? See, it looks all yellow, but then you look at this one here, and it's actually a brown center. And then you look at the one on the side of it. Let me get this down again. Same height, same. Look at how that's brighter in there. I just think that my sunflowers came out really cool. And again, Josh, you know, you helped a great deal with this. Last thing I thought you might want to see what it looks from the street view. Fortunately, we never see this because you're always in the house. I'm very surprised too that they're still pointing kind of east from where the sun comes up. They're supposed to follow the sun, and right now it's like probably 1 p.m. so they should be actually straight towards me. But anyway, that's what it looks like from the street when people look over here. I'm turning it like this. I'm pretty pleased, actually. That's interesting. I cannot blow this up. Why can't I do that? It's supposed to do when it's physical. One last thing, I said I would show you the pumpkins on the back deck. The ones I picked, there's more out in the garden. For the ones that are orange, you put them out for about 10 days. You want them to cure and fully ripen. This way here, especially if you want to store them later on, they need to be cured. They last longer that way. Obviously, the one that's green needs to be out here for much longer than 10 days because first it has to ripen before it can be cured. Also, the ones that are orange, or all of these actually, I come out every day and turn them about 90 degrees because you want the surface, different surfaces exposed to the sun equally. Also, I meant to say that while I was out there recording in the garden, when I listened to this video, I could hear birds, and which was really nice sounding. You're not really aware of that when you're out there. And when I was next to the Rugosa roses looking at the pumpkin that the stem had come off, the sound of crickets seemed to be deafening. Yet when you're out there, it really doesn't sound like that. I must have had the phone really close to some of the crickets, but it was nice.
Josh is a posh and Sheila's a Pila. The end.